Hey y'all, Hoff here, and I'm in my friend's tiny kitchen where they cook for a family of 7. So I'm going to show you how we can make things work and for something get together, even in a tight, cramped up space. Let's go. Okay, so I found a bunch of spices, and I grabbed some veggies that I found. This is a tight fit space for 7 people here. All right, so I had some tofu I brought with me. I didn't have coconut milk, but I have some coconut milk yogurt I'm going to use. I found some different kinds of spices and stuff I'm going to use. Some vegetables we're going to chop up that need to be used up. Not these breadcrumbs, those are being used for something else. But we're going to do something. And again, this is a tight space, so I'm not going to turn on my burner yet. I'm going to chop and prep a lot of my vegetables and stuff first, and then I'll start putting it on the burner. Well, I need to wash my vegetables, but it looks like the sink is a little bit messy, so I'm just going to do a quick little cleanup of some stuff so I have a cleaner sink to work with. I know it looks like the sink is filling up, but I'm going to pop out our little drain and turn on the disposal. It's real fast. So you don't need to wash your onion and you don't need to wash your garlic. So I'm going to take those out and put them on the cutting board. You can soak these. That's another way. If you have time, then you can fill up a bowl or fill up the sink to wash them. I like to do the vinegar soak, but it's okay if you don't have time. Some people do it when they get home. But if you're going to wash your vegetables ahead of time, which is what I like to do, you need to use them quickly. You can't let them sit around. Mushrooms, definitely. You have to use them as soon as you wash them. These you do need to rub a little bit because that's just dirt. That ain't gonna hurt you. It's a little dirt, but most people prefer to not have their food too earthy. This cutting board's a decent size. Some are much bigger because I'm going to try to keep as many of my vegetables on this as possible. We're going to start with our garlic. So I grabbed a bunch of little cloves because the recipe might say 1 clove, but like, is it going to be a tiny clove or a big clove? You grab a waste bowl. I'm actually going to use this container for now. So any of my extra waste I throw in here so it's easier to put in the trash. So the key to garlic, you can soak it in warm water for 15 minutes, or like me, you see this little tip here on the end? I cut that off, and then it just peels. Real easy. That's how I peel my garlic. And you can even pinch this here. It's not that bad. I'm going to use my red onion. I'm actually going to use the whole onion. Sometimes you can half of it, but I'm going to use the whole onion. I'm not cooking for a family of 7, but I do want to make sure I have a good bit of food here because I am going to share it with whoever wants some of it. If you're going to cook for a family of 7, you're obviously going to multiply this recipe a lot. And if you have other people to help you chop, that makes a big difference for prep. Prepping makes all the difference. That's why I'm chopping everything and stuff before I start cooking or heat up my stove. For your carrot, if you want to peel it, you can. I've washed it pretty good and I'm fine with a little bit of the gritty on the outside of it, but you can peel it if you want it. So my mushrooms, I have some of these like yucky bits. I'm actually going to throw those out. I'm going to cut off part of this, but I'm going to use the rest of it. With bell peppers, there's a couple different ways you can cut it. You can cut it by stabbing it around here, or you can just cut off the top. I do it gently. I just gently cut off a little bit of the top here. I don't want to cut all the way through because I want to be able to get that center core with all the seeds in it. Now I have trophophobia, so it's actually really hard for me to look at the seeds, so I give it a twist and then I don't look at it. Now, some of these pieces I can cut them off if they're good. Some of this is a little yuck, but I think I'm going to cut off the parts of it that still look good. While trying to not look at the seeds. The seeds, I'm just going to grab them and put them in my waste bowl. All right, now here I can cut off my gross bits, the less than favorable bits. Don't be afraid to use food that looks like it's getting a little old. Use it, don't waste it. Some of these bits I can cut off. Starting a little tight on space here on our cutting board, but almost there. Now, at this point though, I'm going to use the bowl for this stuff. So the green beans and the broccoli are what I'm going to put in last. So I'm going to chop them and put them in the bowl. Green beans are great to have those cutting kitchen shears to cut them, but I just have a knife today, so it's all right. These are the tips that you want to cut off because you don't want to eat that. Okay, start to finish, that took me maybe like 8 minutes. To be honest, it would actually take less time if I had been taking a little more time to clean up the kitchen a little bit, or had used different bowls to separate all my pieces and stuff like that. So it could be, and again, this knife is a little bit dull and worn out, so it takes a little bit slower. But yeah, if I had more space, I could clean the counter and stuff, but I'm kind of balancing around a large family, and I have to be accommodating to their space and not completely changing every waste bucket. I'm going to throw that in the trash. So for my tofu, I'm just going to use the whole block. I'm going to rinse off my knife a little bit. And I'm just going to poke it, get all the water out. It's just water that it's soaking, and it's not soaking in any particular brine or anything. Drain it, squeeze it out. Now I can open it all the way. Let me cut the rest of it. I just use a knife because why waste scissors? So I take my tofu out. This is how I cube it. So I'm going to cut it in half. I like some pretty chunky cubes. You can slice it however you want. Lay it back down. Ooh. Okay, do some long slices. This is a more dim lit kitchen, but it's okay. You can always purchase extra lights or the sticky lights to put up and stuff. Or just deal with what you have. Work with what you got. So now I have all my tofu cubed up. My friends have a gas stove top. Look, there's some stuff on it. We get to it. They actually have a wok, so I'm going to use a wok for cooking. Get this started. I'm going to use the back burner. Oh, that lights up fast. So you see how you can high heat, low heat. Get it on about a medium high just to get the thing warm. Actually, I'll put it on the front burner because that back burner, because I don't have space for my wok, so I'll put it right here. What I have here is just some vegetable oil, so I'm going to use vegetable oil. You can measure if you want, but I kind of put what looks like about, that's probably 2 tablespoons. That's a lot. You can use the half of that if you want, but I want this for the entire pan. It's already getting warm. Swirl the oil around in a wok. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. Turn on the fan. There's a microwave up here that has a fan, so make sure you turn on the fan. Turn it down. Add my onions here. And my garlic too. I'm just going to go ahead and put it together. You can saute your onions for a minute and then add the garlic. I'm just going to throw it all together. Turn that up again. Couldn't find a cooking spatula, so I'm going to use this spoon. Thankfully, this isn't one of the Teflon nonstick pans, so I'm not super worried about accidentally scratching it and getting the bits in our food. We got a mushroom. We're going to cook these until they are soft. When they're soft is when these parts start to break apart easily. They're a little bit hard to do it now, but when it's soft enough, it'll just slide apart. Make sure you watch this though, because we have garlic. We don't want it to burn. You can always turn the temperature down if you want. Just know that it takes a little bit more time. Turn it too high, it can end up cooking too fast and burning. So be careful when you're trying to cut corners. Medium high is kind of the happy place to be. It's been about less than 2 minutes actually, and my onions seem like they're getting pretty soft. I'm using red onions, so the color kind of starts to, they're also called purple onions, the color starts to get a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to add my mushrooms. You would think mushrooms, because they're soft, they would cook a little too fast and too much, but actually they just have a lot of moisture in them. We want to cook it to get a lot of that water content out of it, and then it'll start drawing in more flavor. I would normally have another pot for my tofu, but I'm actually going to put my tofu in a bowl and just put it in the microwave. When I get my tofu ready, you will see me jump back and forth because I'm still constantly kind of stirring and tossing around my wok right now. So let's see. Found some Italian seasoning. This is some fun stuff. I put a little water, but I'm going to sprinkle a lot of the seasonings on it and then go in and put more water on top of it to get those seasonings to spread out. Cayenne pepper, I like spicy. So this is going to mix in with the rest of the food, but you could add some garlic powder if you want it. Paprika. Paprika is not spicy at all. Just some red chili. Look, I like spicy food, y'all. And then there's a little bit of salt. They have just some regular iodized salt. I do prefer my pink salt, but we're going to work with what we have. Just going to put a little bit in my hand, sprinkle it on top. And this water is going to become basically my sauce that I put over the vegetables to cook them in. So now I'm going to add some water and I'm going to stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes. It's really fast. It really has been less than 2 minutes. And my mushrooms are already getting kind of a golden color around some of them. It's a nice thing about a wok because the whole thing heats up. So even any vegetables tossed up here are going to get some heat. Now I'm going to add my carrots and green peppers. My carrots, I want them to have time to get soft. And the peppers, I also want those to get soft as well, which is why I'm mixing these together. And while I'm jumping back and forth between it, I'm going to go ahead and wash this bowl. They don't have a dishwasher, so I'm just going to go ahead and wash this and put it up to dry. Just pull my tofu out of the microwave. It smells good. Definitely bringing out some of the spice flavor. I don't need to cook it for too long. You can, if you really want flavor to soak into your tofu, marinate it overnight. The longer you marinate it, the more it's going to soak up those flavors. My carrots are starting to get a little soft. See, I just pressed my spoon in it to see it's not quite soft enough. Try to pick a thick piece of carrot because those are the ones we really want to get. See the green peppers, the color is really getting much brighter. That's a good sign for how it cooks. You don't want them to turn black because that's not a good thing. A little browning is okay. Brighter colors is going to be healthier, but you do what tastes good for you. Just as long as it's not black. I would not recommend eating burnt stuff. It's not good for your stomach. Now I'm going to add in my green beans. I want my broccoli at the same time I put my green beans at a different pace. Broccoli, I don't cook for too long because I still like my broccoli to have a crunch. I don't want it to be too soft. Actually, I found some wine vinegar in the cabinet. I like this. It adds a little bit of sourness to it. Always check the ingredients for them because some contain alcohol. This one doesn't. This one just has rice and water. Okay, and I'm going to add my tofu. More sizzle. Now we're really getting our flavor mixed in there. And it is a good bit of water, so I try to cook it so some of this water evaporates. It'll also help the broccoli cook. It kind of gives a little steaming. If you want it thick, add cornstarch to it. I'm going to add my vinegar. Just sprinkle it on the top. That might have been about 2 teaspoons worth. And you don't have to super measure these things. Just relax, guys. You get used to being what's heavy-handed and what's not. If you're using spices, always double check the lid to make sure you're not accidentally just dumping it on stuffing. And then you end up with a little too much pepper or something. Put this rice vinegar back where I found it. This says cloves, but I'm pretty sure that's turmeric. Let me smell it. That's turmeric. When you work in people's households that have a variety of different ethnicities of food, you find all kinds of stuff, but sometimes you have to kind of guess and figure out what a spice is. You know what? If it smells good, try throwing it in, you know? Gonna add my broccoli and throw this cutting board in the sink to wash in a minute. I'm gonna turn my heat down because I turned it up to boil a little bit of that water out. See how this broccoli is starting to get a little bit more bright in color to it? That's about where I want it. Some of it can still do with a little more cooking. I'm going to turn it off because it's still hot and it's still going to cook in this. I found some sesame seeds, so I'm going to toss in some of those. I like sesame seeds. Add another little bit of nutrients, just a little bit of time. Now I'm going to add my yogurt. It took me a minute to find a container that had a matching lid, but because it's in a cabinet with a bunch of other stuff, I'm going to wash it before I put my food in. If you're ever at someone's house and you're trying to help clean up and stuff, it is nice if you know where things go so you can start to tidy up. In this case, because there's limited counter, I need to try to clear up a spot so when I wash my stuff, I can put it away. Also a good time, take a damp cloth or sponge to clean up your counters, wherever you got spices and stuff. Just try to cleaning up your messes. You can also do this while you're cooking as well, just to make everything a lot easier and just tidy and done. My mom always said, leave it better than you found it. So if I'm staying at someone else's house, I'm going to try to do my best to clean up when I make messes and make it look better. And people really appreciate that. Nobody says, oh my gosh, how dare you make my house look spotless and clean and not nasty. All right. I'm not going to eat all of this tonight. I know the mosque is going to have rice, so I'm going to keep just this and expect to eat some rice with it. I try to get every little bit in the container. That way I'm not wasting anything. And it makes it easier to clean. We don't have all these chunky bits. We have to go for iftar, and so I'm not going to have time to clean this. So I'm going to fill it up, put a little soap in it. We're just going to let it soak. That soap sitting is going to help take any fats and oils and stuff up off the pan so we wash it.